Hello and welcome to another episode of My Chat With by AussieTheatre.com. Today's guest started her career as a principal soprano with Opera Queensland before running away to join the circus and has since sung everywhere from Glastonbury to Carnegie Hall. Last year, she won the prestigious Helpman Award for her cabaret show, and in 2014, she was nominated for an ARIA Award but just lost out to the Wiggles. Today, she's joining me to talk about her upcoming stream on Friday night with Arts Centre Melbourne. My name is Peter Snee, and this is My Chat with Ali McGregor. Tell me a little bit about your upcoming performance with Arts Centre Melbourne, Choose Your Own Variety with Ali McGregor.
Yeah, well, I've been hosting a variety show at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival for, it would have been the 14th year I'd done that at the festival this year. I took a year off last year, but other than that, we've done every year. And when this all happened, actually the first thing that got cancelled was a piece for Opera Queensland. And the second thing for me that got cancelled was Melbourne Comedy Festival. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make a variety night in my garage, put it up on YouTube. So I kind of did just that. I'm always in my happy place when I'm sort of DIYing, whether it be, you know, making something at home or trying to figure out tech. And I literally taught myself, you know, got editing software, trial version of editing software, and figured out how to do it, and got a bunch of performers who would have been at the comedy festival to film little bits from home. Got my band to play music from their home, put it all together and made a show. And we ended up doing 2 of those shows. They were hour-long shows, and we just put it up. They're actually still up on YouTube when we asked for, you know, PayPal donations or what have you. And the Arts Centre Melbourne saw them, and then it asked me to come along and do that show live in the theatre when we thought we were going to be able to have 50 people in the audience. Right. And we'd planned a 10-week season of doing every Saturday. And then 5 days before we were going to open, that got scrapped and we were no longer allowed to have any audience. And then they came back to me and said, why don't we just make like what you did in your garage? Let's just make some online shows. And I think by that point, I think at the start of lockdown, that scrappiness and that DIY lo-fi-ness was fun and acceptable. But I thought at this point in time, I didn't want to just present that. And I'd been toying with this technology, this interactivity, and I'd actually downloaded the software to create it myself. And I'd been tinkering with it just sort of in the background of wanting to try something. And it's software that usually only gets used for recruitment videos and training videos. So like, for instance, there was a hospital used it when they were getting new staff, and they put them in a scenario, and then you see this patient with these symptoms. What do you choose, A, B, or C? And then they choose them and they go on, and it sort of takes them through a narrative. And there has been some people who've done it. There was a theatre company who did a version of it in Perth, actually, and there was an episode of Black Mirror that had done it. So it is out there a little bit, but I hadn't really seen it for live shows. So yeah, I set about kind of making this idea. So something that the audience could actually interact with. We can't do live theatre. We can't interact together live and in person. So rather than just having something on and finding yourself getting, you know, distracted by something, you have something that you're actually kind of interacting with. And plus, look, we're living in a time where we don't get much choice. And I thought being able to choose something as small as who you're going to see next would be a really fun thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds amazing. So it's not live, it's pre-recorded?
Pre-recorded, yeah.
Pre-recorded.
Yeah, I think the other thing I wanted to do was I didn't want it to be really, really messy. And I wanted it to have, to do live shows with a certain, you know, of a standard, I think, especially when you are not able to all be in the same room together. you would just need a much bigger budget than I could have, you know, I think. And so I would much rather go for quality rather than, actually being live. So so everything is pre-recorded and put together.
Yeah, and so all the performers have performed their own individual piece. So everyone's had creative control over their own quality. So they've been able to make sure that it's the version that they're putting out. Because you mentioned before, initially everyone was very rustic and just kind of throwing things up online just to prove they could, or prove, they wanted to stay in the forefront. But I guess having a bit more time gives people a chance to refine their performances and make sure they're still putting out the version of themselves that they want to put out.
Absolutely. And I think we're very aware that audiences have got, there's a limit to how much of that kind of rustic lo-fi stuff they can handle. And I think at the start, everyone was very forgiving, and everyone was really willing to kind of, they were so appreciative that artists were just putting anything out, that, there was some people doing it extremely well. And you're in Queensland, so the Isolate show that Naomi Price and that bunch did was, just enviably high quality. And I was so impressed with what they pulled together. They were able to be in the same room, I think, which really helped. But they just, what I was really impressed with their production was the lighting was really good. The sound was great. And I think that for me was, I don't want to present something unless it can just kind of look to the same kind of quality as I would expect from these performers on stage, and that is hard to get in your own home. But I've, to try and give it some sort of cohesiveness, all my songs and all my intros and bits have been filmed in high def, and it looks, really nice. And I've only chosen artists that I knew could bring quality performances from home. I chose artists that I've seen some of the stuff they've been presenting on social media and stuff throughout all of this, and I knew they could bring something kind of unique and something that looked good.
Yeah. It's an amazing mix of performers as well.
It's a variety night, yeah. It's absolutely, yeah. I want it to have, real broad appeal, but also the thing I love about variety when I present it myself is how varied it is, for want of another word. That we do have kind of short attention spans these days, I think, to a degree. And I see my 10-year-old sit there on YouTube, and she'll look at a video clip, and then she'll see the stuff come up and be like, oh yeah, I'll watch that Billie Eilish clip, or I'll watch this TikTok dance or whatever.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to bring that element into the show, where you watch it and then go, oh, okay, let's have some burlesque now, or I want a song, or, and just be able to kind of, change your mind a bit. I think for me, watching an hour long or a 2 hour long show, a theatre or a solo show online is really tricky, because I would just end up just being so sad that I'm not there in person watching it. So, I wanted to give bite size.
And like you said before, it's very easy to get distracted if you're just sitting at home. If there's nothing to really keep you there, you think, I'll just watch this while I do the ironing or do the cooking or whatever,
Exactly. Yeah, it is really, it's, or someone comes out to someone asks for a glass of water, or, something like that when the kids gets up. And every act in this is no more than 5 minutes. So, or maybe 7 minutes at a stretch. But I think that an interruption isn't going to completely ruin your flow.
Yeah. So am I right in saying that anyone that takes part will have the opportunity to have their own experience? So it could be a number of different experiences going on at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah. So you'll get my opening song, and then there's a choosing page, I guess, and you'll see all the different guests, and you get to choose which guest you see in what order. And then amongst that, within the guests bits, and then you'll see me, I'll do a little song after that, and then you'll go back and you get to choose again. But amongst all of that, there's a little top hat every now and then that pops up in the bottom part of your screen. And if you choose to click on that, you'll get extra little tidbits. So all the artists have provided these extra little moments of just random. And I really just asked them to just give me anything. There's performance art, there's extra stories. Dane Simpson, the second episode, just plays his dad's didgeridoo. There's Just these really wonderful little moments. But you can choose to click on them or not.
Sounds like an amazing concept. So you're producing as well?
Yes.
So logistically, it sounds like you've got a bit of a head for mazes, maps.
Look, I love a database and I love a spreadsheet. So, I was kind of in my element here, and I had some fantastic, the Art Centre Melbourne tech team have been fantastic and really on board, and there's been lots of very productive Zoom editing sessions, and then also the interactivity, that side of it. I've gone to a company here in Melbourne who make recruitment videos, and they've worked with me putting that kind of all that interactivity together. So there's been I've pulled together a good team of people, but yeah, this is, as I said, it's all about the spreadsheets. You can do anything with a good spreadsheet.
And it's 2 performances, one this Friday, one next Friday, different guests on both nights.
Different guests, and the shows are up, I think, for 2 weeks each, so you can watch them at any time within that time, but they go live, this Friday and next.
And they're on the Art Centre Melbourne Together With You site.
Yes, that's correct.
Is there anything that you want to add particularly that we can add in? Any interesting stories or anything?
I mean, one thing I think was interesting, especially people who are watching not in Melbourne, is the timeline for this was really tricky because it's been really weird. Things just change so often and so dramatically down here. And we were going to do it. One of the difficult things was being live. Being on the internet, there are certain restrictions about music. And for someone who sings other people's music, you have to get sort of copyright and sync rights if you're going to have it online. And there are certain, if you're doing a live stream show, you can, and that's not available at all in the future, you can get you don't have to get these sync rights, but if it is going to be available in the future, you do. So I had to learn 8 new songs. We found a whole bunch of songs who were out of copyright, and then I went to sort of friends like Kate Miller-Heidke's let me sing one of her songs, and my bass player wrote a song for us as well. But we thought we had this extra week and we were going to be able to, my band and I are going to play together, and then suddenly it was like, no, stage 4, you're coming in. So I basically got the camera and I said, can you do it tomorrow? And the band, I was like, can you record all your stuff today? And we'd never played the music before. And it was kind of thrilling. I never want to do it again, but it was thrilling and it was a kind of exciting thing to do. But we really smashed it in there before stage 4 came tumbling down. So yes, you may not know, you're sort of, the rest of Australia is living, relatively free, but we really did kind of get locked right down. I remember the filming day, we had to really kind of get it in there before curfew, because at 8 o'clock we have a curfew here and we can't be outside the house. So there was a few extra levels of difficulty.
So having learned these new skills, do you think this is something that you'll add to your future repertoire, or do you think this is going to have its moment in time during COVID, and when it's over, it's gone?
No, actually, I do think I'm going to extend it. When I first did those first variety shows, I got this email from a woman in South Gippsland, and she wrote to me saying that she had been living regionally for about 10 years and she was on a disability pension. She loves live theatre, but because of her disability, because of where she lives, she really rarely gets to see it. And she said, I know people are finding it really hard at the moment, but I've never had it as good. She said, this week I've seen the Royal Shakespeare Company. I watched, a live stream opera. I watched, your cabaret show. She's seen comedy. And it really hit home to me how privileged, I am living in a city where there's usually a lot of live theatre. That's not the case for a lot of people in Australia, either with access issues or where they live. And it actually made me really determined to try and find something I can create that that isn't just because of COVID. So this show is what that is. This is something that I absolutely want to create, to keep creating long term, to try and find something that's not replicating live theatre and it's not trying to replicate TV. It's something in of itself. And so, that's exactly what this show is. And I do see it as something that's beyond lockdown.
That's amazing. And I guess those accessibilities that, do make it very difficult for a lot of people to get into the theatre, are things that traditional theatre makers might not consider. But when things like this happen and all those stories start coming to the surface, we realise, there's a lot of people out there, and we can try and include them in digital ways.
Absolutely. And I don't think it's about replacing live theatre in any way. Nothing will ever replace that. But I think we can absolutely provide work that kind of works in tandem with live theatre and live work. I think it's really important for us to do that, because it's not just access issues, but even parents of young kids. It's really hard and really expensive for two people to buy tickets, to get a babysitter. There's so many factors that make it really difficult to see live theatre. And again, I'm never suggesting that this sort of thing would ever replace it, but to keep people in the game, to keep people activated and be watching kind of, the arts, in between those times that they can go out there and get live theatre, I think is really important. So that's absolutely something that I wanted to try and create. So yeah, hopefully we've succeeded with this.
Yeah, just the next evolution in entertainment.
Absolutely, why not?
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Best of luck with the performance this Friday and next Friday. We'll pop all the links down below so everyone can check those out to tune in and see you. I hope it all goes amazingly well for you and your team.
Thank you so much for chatting.